Today, we are going to read The Princess and the Frog Allergies, published by Brille Petit, written by Ange C.P., and illustrated by Emil Albert L. Aligada. The Princess and the Frog Allergies is another fractured fairy tale. The original is The Princess and the Frog, and as you know, fractured fairy tales have a twist to it. So let's begin. A long time ago, in a kingdom beside a deep pond, there lived a princess with long, flowing red hair and milky white skin. Princess Elergen was the only child of the king and queen, and as such, had no one her age to play with. Instead of a friend, she had a golden bouncy ball that she brought with her wherever she went. One day, the princess tossed her ball up in the air, a tad bit higher than she should have. When the ball finally came down, it bounced on a rock and fell straight into the pond. The ball hit the water and floated to the center. Princess Elergen cried out loud, for she knew that the pond was deep and she couldn't swim. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't reach her favorite golden ball. Unknown to the princess, a frog was watching her wail and sob from his water lily. Moved by her tears, the frog hopped over to the princess to speak to her. "Do you want me to get that ball for you?" The princess was a little taken aback by the talking frog with a red bow tie on its neck. But as she didn't have any choice, she nodded and said, "Yes, please. Can you help me?" "I can," replied the frog. "But when I do, you must promise to bring me with you to the castle and allow me to sleep on your pillow, eat with you and your family, and accompany you wherever you go." The princess thought that the frog was a bit bossy and had a lot of requests. But the thought of never getting her ball back was making her more anxious by the second. So without thinking, she blurted out, "Yes." Happy that the princess agreed, the frog quickly swam to the floating golden ball and nudged it until it touched the edge of the pond. Despite the ball being dripping wet and covered in pond scum, the princess kissed her beloved ball and hugged it as if it were a real person. She had completely forgotten what she had promised to the frog. She quickly ran back to the house when she heard the dinner bell. When the princess came to the dining table, she shrieked. The frog was beside her plate of buttermilk chicken, her favorite. "Father, Mother, please command the frog to leave the table." "I'm sorry, Elergen," the king said, shaking his head. "The frog told us that you agreed to bring him with you wherever you went in exchange for fetching your ball. Your disheveled appearance and your wet ball confirm his story." "We must always keep our promises," the queen said, patting her daughter's hand. And so the frog was allowed to stay for dinner with the princess. The princess remained quiet, thinking of how to get rid of the frog. Finally, it was time for dessert, and it was again Princess Elergen's favorite. Vanilla ice cream topped with chocolate sauce. Just as the frog was about to take a spoonful, the princess crinkled her nose and then, achoo! The princess sneezed so violently that the ice cream scoop flew from the dish to the frog, covering him from head to webbed toes in sweet brown chocolate sauce. "Bless you," the frog said, wiping the dripping sauce from his face. "Please excuse me," he said, bowing to the king and queen before hopping away from the table and out of the room. The princess wiped her nose and secretly smiled. Maybe the frog will not want to go back, she thought. The king instructed the princess to take a bath and change out of her wet clothes before going to sleep. When she went to her bed, the frog was on her pillow, shiny and clean. "I hope you don't mind that I took a shower. The ice cream made me feel very sticky," the frog said. "Where is my ball?" The princess turned to her maid, trying to ignore the frog. "It's on your bedside table," the maid said. "But it's still muddy, miss. Shall I clean it first?" "No, I can't sleep without it," the princess said as she grabbed the ball and hugged it. She was just about to lay down her bed when her eyes started to water, and then the princess used her pillow to block her sneeze, but she squeezed the pillow so hard that it exploded, covering the frog with fluffy white goose feathers. Choo! The frog spit out the feathers that got into his mouth. Sorry, the princess said as she tried to apologize, but her nose had gotten so stuffed that she couldn't pronounce the letter R correctly. Bless you, the frog once again excused himself as he hopped out of the room. The princess hoped that it was the last she would see of him. She slept tossing and turning in bed while still clinging tightly to her golden ball. The next day, the princess woke up with a bad cold. Her eyes were puffy and swollen. She got her ball and dragged her feet to the breakfast table, afraid to look at her plate. "Good morning," the frog said, greeting her cheerfully. "Did you have a good sleep?" The princess grunted, sniffling loudly. Pancakes topped with whipped butter and drizzled with honey were served. Just as she was spreading the butter, she felt another sneeze coming about. Achoo! She sneezed so powerfully that the pancakes flew and slapped the frog on his face. After wiping his honey-soaked face, the frog said, "It seems like you are suffering from allergies, my princess." "Thank you for finally noticing," the princess said with a loud sigh. "I think I'm allergic to you." The frog shook his head. "I did not return to your room when you slept, but you still came out with a cold and puffy eyes. I think that what you really are allergic to is the pond scum that is still on your ball. Have it washed and dried, and let us find out if your allergies disappear. If your ball comes back to you clean and you're still sneezing, then I will leave you in peace." The thought of getting rid of the frog forever finally convinced the princess to have her ball cleaned. While away from the ball, she noticed that her nose had stopped itching and her eyes had stopped watering, even though the frog was beside her. This gave the frog time to get to know the princess better. They had a good chat until the golden ball was returned at last, fresh-smelling and scum-free. "Mwah! Thank you," the princess said to the frog, awarding him a grateful kiss. The frog's red bow tie spun, and the room filled with magical dust. When the air had cleared, beside the princess stood a handsome prince in a green tuxedo. "I am Prince Alan from the nearby kingdom. I was cursed to be a frog until I could find a princess who would kiss me and break the spell. Thank you. Now I can go back to where I belong." "Wait," the princess said as she tapped Prince Alan on the shoulders. "If you ever need someone to play ball with..." The prince smiled. "Of course." He shook Prince Elergen's hand. "Just one request. Please, don't sneeze on me." The two laughed and played ball together. The end. I hope you enjoyed our story for today, The Princess and the Frog Allergies. Like and subscribe to Brille Petit for more stories and nursery rhymes. See you next time. Bye!